Good evening again, and welcome to the 2012fad.com. I will be your host this evening. My name is Charlie Bluehawk. Last night we talked about the letter I wrote in response to a gentleman asking us if we were serious about what we were doing here at the 2012 Fad, and specifically if we were serious about building Technology Village, with the idea of some people surviving the event that happens every 2,000 years to our little world, like clockwork. Of course, never heard back from the fellow again. I gave him I think my resume is up to, 14, 18 pages now, and that's the short one. And I said, look, as a way of introducing ourselves, here's who I am. You tell me you have money, you tell me you have interests, you have a family you want to protect, and you're looking to save about 100 people, as are we. So I will start the introductions. Here's my resume. Here's who I am. Here are my websites. Here are my references. Who are you? And of course, he vanished instantly, as do all liars when confronted with even the smallest amount of truth. So we will continue, and as you know, I'm doing this out of a promise to my friend Kenneth. I had given up on all of this and on all of you, frankly, some time ago. But Kenneth believed it's worth doing, and I have since realized that Central Europe is where we need to be. I have actually found the location that will survive the event. And it was pretty much staring me in the face. An old witch I know sent me to Europe. We'll talk about that next episode, probably. And she sent me for a variety of reasons, as all old witches do. And I actually learned quite a lot. But next episode we'll cover that. Tonight, I wanted to chat about a fellow by the name of Ryan, a gentleman who also contacted us and who also has since vanished. And Ryan believes, in a very short email that he sent us, that the event will occur not the end of next year, but this year. His date was the 8th of March, 2011. Now, I personally have no information of any kind to support his claim. All the data that I have, all the people I talked to, everything I've collected shows December 21 through 24, 2012. Of course, the problem with that is the Catholic Church has changed the Gregorian calendar, the calendar we use in the West. They've changed it so many times that getting exact dates is really kind of tough, whether you're dealing with historical evidence or modern evidence. It's tricky. But right now, so many reports are coming in from folks who are able to actually see the dead brown dwarf star in the sky near the rising sun in the morning, that the December 2012 date is probably a good bet. For several years now, the dead brown dwarf star can be seen from the Earth, but only from the southern hemisphere, because it's coming at us from the south. Today, people report that they can see it from the northern hemisphere, which puts it really close. Now, a NASA infrared satellite first saw the dead brown dwarf star, the companion to our own yellow sun, back in 1982. Somewhere, and I've moved so many times and I've lost so much of my possessions, I can't even begin to guess if I even still have it anymore. But I used to have an article that was published in a mainstream magazine at that time. And this orbiting observatory called IRAS saw an object the size of Jupiter. Now, when I worked at NASA, and I worked for NASA, as you know, for 5 years, I was not a scientist. I was, a computer guy, a graphics guy, education and public outreach, community outreach, trade shows, audio, video. That was my stuff. I just did stuff. I'm the guy who says, oh, that needs to be done. Oh, I'll take care of it. So I was basically working 7 jobs for the price of one. Not going to do that again, I'll tell you. But I do remember the archives of IRAS being in the IPAC building, at least some of them. And I remember working on, I was going to say I wasn't working on the logo for IRAS, but I was working on logos for other projects. I remember I kept seeing the IRAS project, and IRAS was a very early infrared orbiting observatory. I was working on the CERTIF project, which was the modern version of an infrared observatory, and after it launched successfully, they renamed it to Spitzer. We, of course, wanted them to call it Roddenberry after Gene Roddenberry of Star Trek. And we knew for a fact that it would give it press until, the end of time. Turns out that NASA headquarters hates Gene Roddenberry with a passion. I've never been able to figure that out. Anyway, enough, gibberish. I will try to find, if I still have it, the article that was published back in 1982 by a mainstream magazine about IRAS seeing an object the size of Jupiter. I'll try to find it. Can't promise I will look. But it's very interesting. That was the one and only article that ever made mainstream press. That was it. So if the dead brown dwarf star is close enough to be seen from the northern hemisphere now, it's close. Which means that the three planets that orbit it and all of the rock, the debris that's floating around its little tiny solar system much further out, means that those rocks are pretty much, they're here. They're around us all now. And pretty much will be falling on us very soon. Now, most of them are going to be very, very small, so we don't have to worry about it. And yet again, I'm now seeing more reports about near-Earth misses of rocks that we've never experienced before. They're very close, and some of them are reported to be inside of the orbit of our own satellites that are orbiting our planet. And as I said before, some of them are so small we'll never see them, but some are big. And if one big one, just one, hits the South Pole, we're looking at all that water, thousands of feet tall sheets of ice, bigger, by the way. The whole Antarctic continent of ice is bigger than North America, Central America, Europe combined. If that goes into the oceans, yes, sea levels will rise at the very least. If it goes into the oceans dramatically, we're looking at that 5,000 foot tall wave of water moving at the speed of sound. Which is why the location I've discovered in Central Europe is crucial. And literally I'm sitting in that location now. We need to build the village. We need to build it yesterday. So anyway, getting back to Ryan, he was asking us if we had any ideas as to what he and his wife should do. I'm going to read you my response to letter here to Ryan in a moment, but with one footnote. Now, our masters have an obsession with keeping us in line. They want to keep us on a very tight leash. And sometimes they use these same types of tactics to get even more information on us than they already have, which is phenomenal. So this Ryan, for example, could just be a willing slave of the servants of the Mandarin class, who are themselves willing servants of the masters. Who the masters serve, I don't even want to get into now. That's for later. And they've been doing this kind of surveillance on us since, oh heavens, the 1950s. Back in the 1950s, if any of you are old enough to remember what an old-style analog phone looks like with a dial on its face, that phone could be in its cradle, and it was still a listening device. They could still listen to what was going on in the room back in the 1950s. Today, we have cell phones. Your cell phone, even when it's off, it's still on. It can track you because it's a locator. They can find you whenever they want. It's a listening device. They can hear everything you're saying, even if your phone is turned off. The only way to actually prevent them from spying on you with your cell phone is to pull the battery out. And I'm sure they'll conquer that problem soon. The other use of a mobile phone is to cripple you. If you hold a mobile phone close to your head all the time, you're getting massive amounts of microwave energy, enough to cook an egg in about 20 minutes. If you're a woman and you wear very tight jeans and you have those little cutie cell phones and you stick them in your front pocket because it looks chic and trendy, you're actually microwaving your own ovaries to make you sterile or to give you cancer. So mobile phones, multi-use, multitasking, who are we to argue with success? It's working really well, at least for them. So anyway, my response letter to Ryan is as follows. Hi, Ryan. May I ask how you learned that the flip will occur on March 8, 2011. I currently have no info on that at all. Next, may I make a suggestion? Take a deep breath, sit down, have a beer, hold your wife's hand, and talk about what your goals are. I know this sounds foolish, but please, bear with me. Fear is a great tool. It's a great motivator. It makes you pay very close attention to the world around you, but please do not let your fear control you. I think you are doing all the right things. Getting a passport is a good first step. But if you are correct, may I suggest a different idea? With such a short time available, I would suggest finding the highest mountain range near you, stock up with supplies, go online, find the websites that specialize in survivalist concepts. Get a list from them of what you should have and see what you already have versus what you should buy. And then head for the mountains. Leaving the country with such short preparation time is not a good idea. You can come here to the Czech Republic, but you will need a visa after the first 90 days. We can recommend a company that we work with that handles that, but again, it takes time. What are your skills? Because once you are here, whether the earth flips on schedule, your schedule or not, you will need a job. And with no preparation, you will be in a country where you do not speak the language. And if you do not have skills that the locals find valuable, you will be in a world of hurt at a time when you need to keep all your wits about you, especially in a crisis. I believe, and it's just my opinion, it's better right now to stay in your own country. Get up real high, find a nice cave or sheltered valley, and settle in. It's unlikely you will be able to convince anyone else, so be prepared to go it alone, and please take lots of books. I will be very happy to chat with you, but the money we are talking about for the village is in the millions of dollars. And unless you have specifically useful skills that we are looking for, tradesman, artisan, craftsman, it's unlikely that we can find a place for you here once we do have the working capital. Again, probably better to stay where you are. At least you will be around people that you know. That said, there are survivalist colonies everywhere in the world, and there may be some near you where you are now. Again, go online, do some searches. They may not be people that you like or can trust, but it's another option. Sincerely, Charlie. And so that's my letter to Ryan. I hope that if he's real, that he and his wife are going to be okay. And I hope that if he is not real, he wakes up in time. Again, I have no evidence of a flip happening this year, but hopefully I'm right and he's wrong, because we just aren't prepared. In the meantime, for all of us here at the 2012fad.com, this has been Charlie Bluehawk, wishing you a really good day, and reminding you always, please, keep at least that one good thought.